They mocked her for cleaning their messes, until she exposed the dirtiest secret of them all. In the bustling heart of New York City, where skyscrapers pierce the clouds and ambition fills every corner office, there was one building that stood out, not for its architecture or prestige, but for its toxic culture. The headquarters of Apex Global Corporation, a multi-billion-dollar conglomerate known more for its cutthroat politics than innovation, had become infamous among employees. Inside this corporate fortress, power dynamics were rigidly enforced, with those at the top treating everyone else as invisible cogs in their machine. At the very bottom of this hierarchy was Gloria Johnson, a middle-aged black woman who worked tirelessly as a cleaning lady. Every night, she would sweep through empty offices, polish mahogany desks, and empty trash bins filled with discarded dreams and half-finished coffee cups. To most executives, Gloria was just part of the background, a faceless figure who blended into the shadows. They didn't know her name, nor did they care about the quiet dignity with which she carried herself. But all of that was about to change on an ordinary Tuesday evening when the unthinkable happened. Gloria Johnson fired the CEO right in front of the entire company. Apex Global wasn't just another soulless corporation. It was a breeding ground for elitism and prejudice. The executive team, predominantly white men in tailored suits, operated under a win-at-all-costs mentality. Employees whispered stories of backstabbing colleagues, stolen ideas, and promotions handed out based on favoritism rather than merit. Those lower down the ladder, administrative staff, janitors, interns, were treated like second-class citizens, expected to stay silent while enduring condescending remarks and outright disrespect. Gloria had seen it all during her 5 years at Apex. She'd overheard snide comments from executives mocking her accent, watched them toss crumpled papers onto freshly mopped floors without apology, and even witnessed a vice president casually refer to her as the help. Yet Gloria never retaliated. Instead, she kept her head down, focusing on her work and finding solace in the fact that she could provide for her family. What no one realized, however, was that Gloria wasn't just a cleaner. She was also a listener. As she moved silently through the halls each night, she absorbed fragments of conversations, piecing together secrets that others assumed were safe behind closed doors. It started innocently enough. One late Thursday night, as Gloria tidied up the boardroom after yet another marathon meeting, she noticed something unusual. A stack of documents lay forgotten on a conference table, marked confidential. Curiosity got the better of her, and she glanced at the first page. It detailed a series of illegal activities orchestrated by none other than Richard Hartman, the CEO himself. From embezzlement to falsifying financial reports, the evidence painted a damning picture of corruption at the highest levels of the company. Gloria's heart raced as she flipped through the pages. She knew what this meant. If these documents became public, Hartman's empire would crumble. But exposing him came with risks. Would anyone believe a lowly cleaning lady over the powerful CEO? Could she risk losing her job, or worse, by speaking up? Despite her fears, Gloria couldn't ignore the injustice staring back at her. For too long, people like Hartman had exploited their positions of power, trampling over those beneath them without consequence. This time, things would be different. The annual shareholders' meeting of Apex Global Corporation was always a spectacle, but this year it would become unforgettable for reasons no one could have anticipated. Held in the grand ballroom of the company's headquarters, the event buzzed with energy as investors, board members, and high-profile executives gathered to hear Richard Hartman deliver his carefully rehearsed speech about growth, innovation, and integrity. Clad in an impeccably tailored suit, Hartman exuded confidence as he stood at the podium, basking in the admiration of those who viewed him as untouchable. What he didn't know was that his reign was about to come crashing down, all because of the woman walking quietly into the room. As Hartman droned on about the company's unparalleled success, the heavy wooden doors at the back of the hall creaked open. At first, only a few heads turned, expecting another executive or staff member entering late. But when Gloria Johnson stepped through, there was an immediate murmur of confusion. Dressed simply in her uniform, a navy blue cleaning jumpsuit, she carried herself with an air of quiet authority that silenced the room within seconds. Her presence was unexpected, almost surreal, and yet impossible to ignore. As she walked toward the stage, her eyes locked onto Hartman's, unwavering and resolute. The murmurs grew louder, turning into audible gasps as people realized what was happening. The cleaning lady had interrupted the CEO mid-presentation. Hartman, visibly irritated by the disruption, leaned into the microphone. "What is this?" he snapped, his voice dripping with condescension. "Who let you in here?" "Security." His attempt to assert dominance fell flat as Gloria reached the foot of the stage. Without hesitation, she climbed the steps, her movements deliberate and steady. She placed the incriminating documents on the podium beside him, their weight both literal and symbolic. For a moment, the room seemed frozen in time, everyone holding their breath, as they waited to see what she would do next. Gloria looked out at the sea of faces before speaking, her voice calm but firm, cutting through the tension like a knife. "I'm here to clean up your mess. For good." With those words, she turned her attention directly to Hartman, who now appeared visibly shaken. Ignoring his attempts to interrupt, she began reading aloud from the documents, exposing his crimes one damning detail at a time. Embezzlement, falsified financial reports, insider trading. It was all there, laid bare for the world to hear. Each revelation sent shockwaves through the audience, eliciting gasps, whispers, and even a few shouts of disbelief. Some attendees scrambled to take notes, while others pulled out their phones to record the historic moment. For Hartman, the unraveling was swift and merciless. His polished demeanor crumbled under the weight of the evidence, his face flushing red as sweat beaded on his forehead. He tried to regain control, stammering denials and accusing Gloria of fabricating lies, but his protests rang hollow. No one believed him, not when the proof was right there in black and white. By the time Gloria finished reading, the once powerful CEO looked small and defeated, reduced to nothing more than a man caught in his own web of deceit. The room erupted into chaos as soon as Gloria stepped away from the podium. Reporters shouted questions, shareholders demanded explanations, and security guards rushed forward, unsure whether to detain Hartman or escort Gloria out. But Gloria remained composed, her chin held high as she surveyed the scene she had single-handedly ignited. In that moment, she wasn't just a cleaning lady. She was a symbol of justice, a beacon of hope for anyone who had ever been dismissed or mistreated. And though the road ahead would undoubtedly be challenging, one thing was certain: nothing at Apex Global, and perhaps nowhere else, would ever be the same again. The days following Gloria Johnson's explosive confrontation with Richard Hartman were nothing short of seismic. What began as a quiet Tuesday evening in the boardroom quickly spiraled into a media firestorm, transforming Apex Global Corporation from a faceless corporate entity into the epicenter of national headlines. For the first time in its history, the company found itself under intense scrutiny, not just for its financial practices, but for the toxic culture that had allowed someone like Hartman to thrive unchecked. As investigations unfolded, lawsuits piled up, and internal power struggles erupted, one thing became abundantly clear. Gloria's actions had not only dismantled a corrupt regime, but also sparked a reckoning within the organization. In the immediate aftermath of the shareholders' meeting, chaos reigned supreme. Shareholders, many of whom had blindly trusted Hartman's leadership, demanded answers. How could such egregious misconduct go unnoticed for so long? Why hadn't anyone spoken up sooner? These questions hung heavy in the air, forcing those in positions of authority to confront their own complicity in enabling Hartman's behavior. Meanwhile, employees at every level of the company grappled with mixed emotions: shock, anger, relief, and even guilt. Some felt vindicated by Gloria's courage, while others wrestled with shame over having turned a blind eye to the injustices they'd witnessed. It was a moment of collective reflection, where the cracks in Apex Global's foundation were laid bare for all to see. For Richard Hartman, the fallout was swift and brutal. Within hours of Gloria's revelations, his reputation crumbled. Once hailed as a visionary leader, he was now branded a fraud and a criminal. Law enforcement launched an investigation into the allegations, seizing documents and interviewing key figures within the company. By the end of the week, Hartman had been stripped of his title and escorted out of the building in handcuffs, a stark contrast to the swaggering confidence he'd displayed just days earlier. Photos of his arrest circulated widely, serving as a grim reminder of how quickly power can slip away when built on lies. For many, seeing Hartman brought low was deeply satisfying, a rare instance of justice served in a world often tilted in favor of the privileged few. But while Hartman's downfall dominated the news cycle, it was Gloria who captured the public's imagination. Overnight, she went from being an invisible figure in the background to a household name. Reporters flocked to her modest apartment, eager to hear her story. Social media lit up with hashtags like #GloriaHero and #CleanUpTheMess, celebrating her bravery and resilience. In interviews, Gloria remained humble, deflecting praise and focusing instead on the broader issues her actions had uncovered. "I didn't do this for fame or recognition," she told one journalist. "I did it because what I saw was wrong, and somebody needed to stand up." Too many people are treated like they don't matter because of their job title or the color of their skin. Well, I proved that wrong. Her words resonated deeply, striking a chord with millions of Americans who had grown weary of systemic inequality and corporate greed. Gloria's story became a rallying cry for marginalized communities, inspiring countless individuals to speak out against injustice in their own lives. Schools invited her to give talks, community organizations honored her with awards, and advocacy groups sought her counsel on how to combat workplace discrimination. Despite the sudden influx of attention, Gloria stayed grounded, drawing strength from her faith and her family. She often credited her late mother, a civil rights activist, for instilling in her the values that guided her decision to take a stand. "She always told me," Gloria recalled during one interview, "that your voice matters, no matter how small you think it is. Sometimes, speaking truth to power is the bravest thing you can do." Within Apex Global, Gloria's impact was equally profound. The scandal forced the company to undergo a top-to-bottom overhaul, starting with the removal of several high-ranking executives implicated in Hartman's schemes. A temporary CEO was appointed to stabilize operations while a search for permanent leadership commenced. This interim leader, a seasoned corporate turnaround specialist named Evelyn Carter, made it her mission to transform the company's toxic culture. Under her guidance, Apex implemented sweeping reforms aimed at fostering transparency, accountability, and inclusivity. Employees were encouraged to report unethical behavior without fear of retaliation, and diversity initiatives were prioritized to ensure representation at all levels of the organization. One of the most significant changes came in the form of a new employee resource group, ERG, dedicated to supporting frontline workers like Gloria. Dubbed Voices Unheard, the ERG provided a platform for janitors, security guards, receptionists, and other traditionally overlooked staff members to share their experiences and advocate for better working conditions. Gloria played an instrumental role in shaping the group's mission, emphasizing the importance of treating everyone with dignity and respect. "We're not invisible," she declared at the ERG's inaugural meeting. "We're the backbone of this company, and it's time we start acting like it." Her words inspired a wave of solidarity among her colleagues, many of whom had long felt dismissed or undervalued. As the months passed, Gloria's influence extended far beyond Apex Global. Her story inspired similar movements across industries, prompting companies nationwide to reevaluate their treatment of low-wage workers. Labor unions gained momentum as more employees joined forces to demand fair wages, safer workplaces, and greater protections against harassment and discrimination. Even lawmakers took notice, introducing legislation aimed at holding corporations accountable for unethical practices. Gloria testified before Congress, urging legislators to prioritize policies that empower workers and dismantle systemic barriers. Her testimony was met with standing ovations, cementing her status as a champion for social justice. Despite the accolades, Gloria never lost sight of why she had stepped forward in the first place. Though she eventually left her cleaning job to pursue advocacy work full-time, she remained committed to amplifying the voices of those still struggling to be heard. She founded a nonprofit organization called Stand Up, Speak Out, which provided resources and support to individuals fighting against workplace injustice. Through workshops, mentorship programs, and legal assistance, the organization helped countless people navigate the challenges of standing up to powerful adversaries. Gloria also partnered with educational institutions to develop curricula focused on ethics and leadership, ensuring that future generations would learn from the mistakes of the past. Looking back on her journey, Gloria often reflected on the lessons she had learned along the way. One of the most important, she said, was the power of persistence. Change doesn't happen overnight, she explained during a commencement speech at her alma mater. It takes patience, determination, and a willingness to keep pushing forward, even when the odds seem impossible. But if you stay true to your values and refuse to let fear dictate your choices, amazing things can happen. Another lesson was the importance of community. Throughout her ordeal, Gloria leaned heavily on her family, friends, and coworkers for support. Their unwavering belief in her gave her the strength to face unimaginable challenges head-on. "You don't have to fight alone," she reminded audiences. "There's always someone willing to stand beside you if you're brave enough to ask." By the time a year had passed since that fateful shareholders' meeting, Apex Global bore little resemblance to the company it once was. Its new CEO, Sarah Lin, a trailblazer known for her commitment to ethical business practices, had ushered in an era of transparency and collaboration. Employee satisfaction surveys showed marked improvements, and turnover rates plummeted as morale soared. Most notably, the company established an annual award in Gloria's honor, recognizing individuals who demonstrate exceptional courage and integrity in the workplace. Each recipient received a plaque engraved with Gloria's favorite quote, "Even the quietest voices can ignite monumental change." For Gloria herself, life had changed in ways she never could have imagined. From cleaning floors to commanding stages, her journey was a testament to the transformative power of courage and conviction. Yet despite her newfound fame, she remained steadfastly humble, viewing herself not as a hero, but as a catalyst for something much larger than herself. "I'm just one person," she liked to say, "but together, we're unstoppable." And indeed, thanks to her example, countless others found the strength to rise above adversity and demand the respect they deserved. In the end, Gloria Johnson's legacy transcended titles, industries, and borders. She reminded the world that heroes come in all forms, and sometimes the most unlikely individuals hold the keys to unlocking profound change. Whether wielding a broom or a microphone, Gloria proved that it's not what you carry but how you use it that truly defines you. And though her story may have begun in the shadows, it ended in the spotlight, shining brightly for all to see. Gloria Johnson's extraordinary journey from an invisible cleaning lady to a symbol of justice and empowerment offers profound lessons that resonate far beyond the walls of Apex Global Corporation. Her story is not merely one of personal triumph, but also a powerful commentary on the values we uphold or fail to uphold in our workplaces, communities, and society at large. At its core, Gloria's actions remind us of the importance of integrity, empathy, and courage in creating a world where everyone is valued and heard. One of the most significant takeaways from Gloria's experience is the danger of underestimating people based on superficial judgments. For years, executives at Apex dismissed her as nothing more than the help, assuming her role defined her worth. They failed to see the person behind the uniform, a woman with intelligence, dignity, and moral clarity. This tendency to judge others by their job titles or appearances reflects a broader societal issue: the dehumanization of those deemed less powerful or important. Gloria's story challenges us to confront these biases head-on. It asks us to look beyond surface-level perceptions and recognize the inherent value in every individual, regardless of their station in life. After all, heroes don't always wear capes. Sometimes they carry brooms. Another critical lesson lies in the power of speaking truth to power. Gloria could have easily chosen to stay silent after discovering Richard Hartman's crimes. She knew the risks involved: losing her job, facing retaliation, even endangering her safety. Yet she chose to act, driven by a sense of justice and a refusal to let wrongdoing go unchecked. Her decision underscores the importance of standing up for what is right, even when doing so comes at great personal cost. In a world often dominated by apathy and self-preservation, Gloria's courage serves as a beacon of hope, reminding us that change begins with individuals willing to challenge the status quo. As she demonstrated, one voice can spark a movement, inspiring others to follow suit and amplifying the call for accountability. Gloria's story also highlights the corrosive effects of unchecked power and the need for transparency in leadership. The corruption at Apex Global didn't happen overnight. It festered because those in authority turned a blind eye to unethical behavior. Executives prioritized profit over principle, fostering a culture of exploitation and fear. When leaders abuse their positions for personal gain, they erode trust and perpetuate inequality. Gloria's exposure of Hartman's misdeeds forced the company and the public to reckon with these realities. It underscored the necessity of holding leaders accountable and implementing systems that promote ethical conduct. By shining a light on the dark corners of corporate greed, Gloria showed that true strength lies not in wielding power, but in using it responsibly. Empathy emerged as another central theme in Gloria's journey. Throughout her time at Apex, she bore witness to countless injustices, not just against herself, but against her fellow employees who were marginalized and mistreated. Despite the disrespect she endured, she never allowed bitterness to consume her. Instead, she channeled her pain into action, fighting not only for herself, but for all those whose voices had been silenced. Her ability to empathize with others' struggles and advocate for collective change is a testament to the transformative power of compassion. In a society increasingly divided by differences, Gloria's example reminds us that empathy has the potential to bridge gaps and unite us around shared goals. Perhaps the most enduring lesson from Gloria's story is the idea that ordinary people can achieve extraordinary things. Before her confrontation with Hartman, Gloria was an unassuming figure, quietly going about her work without seeking attention. Yet when faced with injustice, she tapped into reservoirs of strength and resilience she may not have known she possessed. Her transformation from a background player to a catalyst for change proves that heroism isn't reserved for the elite or the privileged. It belongs to anyone brave enough to step forward and make a difference. Gloria's legacy encourages us to believe in our own capacity to effect positive change, no matter how daunting the obstacles may seem. Finally, Gloria's journey invites us to reflect on the kind of world we want to live in, and the role each of us plays in shaping it. Her actions sparked a cultural shift within Apex Global, prompting the company to adopt policies that prioritize inclusivity, fairness, and respect. These changes didn't happen automatically. They required effort, commitment, and a willingness to confront uncomfortable truths. Similarly, building a more equitable society demands active participation from all of us. We must challenge discriminatory practices, amplify marginalized voices, and advocate for systemic reforms that level the playing field. Gloria's story shows us that progress is possible, but only if we're willing to do the hard work required to achieve it. In reflecting on Gloria Johnson's remarkable journey, we are reminded of the timeless adage, "Be the change you wish to see in the world." Through her courage, humility, and unwavering commitment to justice, Gloria embodied this principle in ways both big and small. She taught us that true strength lies not in titles or wealth, but in the choices we make and the values we uphold. And she showed us that even in the darkest moments, there is always room for light, if we have the courage to let it shine. Gloria's legacy will continue to inspire generations to come, serving as a reminder that every act of bravery, no matter how small, contributes to a brighter, more just future.